Hi, my name is Thomas Herm Jr. I'm a pre-engineering student at U of L, and I'll be presenting my Python project for CSE 120. So first we'll be going over the directives and the deliverables of the project. Then we'll briefly touch on the project timeline. We'll then proceed with the issues faced and lessons learned, and finally we'll discuss the code and the output. The directives are as follows. Play a number of rounds that was entered by the user and then prompt the user to choose rock, paper, or scissors. Casing should not matter, and all inputs should be validated. The computer should then generate a response, and the winner of the round gets a point. Points should be tracked, and the one with the most points at the end wins. Tiebreakers should be offered at the end in the event of a tie. The player should be able to restart or exit after the game ends. As for the timeline, it was entirely different from the projected timeline given, as most of the code was finished shortly after starting the project. I took a break to focus on other courses, and the remaining bugs were finished in April. I took the final week to put together the PDF and the presentation. The biggest issues I had during the project were with interdependency and error type differences. Python doesn't have if and def guards like C or pragma once guards like C++, and I found the syntax for forward declaration a little more confusing here than it is in C and C++. I was eventually able to fix this by moving all of the interdependent code into one file. When trying to validate user input for rounds wanted in a try except statement, I used a type error, but this did not catch the exception. This is because all input obtained by the input function is string, which is a correct type assignment, and trying to convert it, you're trying to convert string into, in this case, an integer, which is exactly what the computer is expecting. But when converting types, you need to have the valid values that can be converted. So when trying to convert an input to an integer, I needed to validate it with value error, not type error. Now for the lessons learned. Firstly, it's probably easier to keep all interdependent code grouped together in the same file, and to remember that Python code does not need to be in top-down order. This last bit was fairly important, as I did forget that the order doesn't matter as much in Python. This originally made the prospect of putting it all in one file a bit daunting, as I was concerned about the order of the code for a while, but it became a much simpler task when I realized I didn't really need to worry about that. The next lessons were that type error is for unexpected types in a type assignment, while value error is for unexpected values during operation. This didn't cause too much trouble, but it did confuse me for a time. I was able to look at the different exception types, and I was able to find one similar to what I was using and just attempt that. And when that worked, I re-examined the code and was able to work out why it worked. And now for a breakdown of the code. The SEC.py file contains security-related functions, which, in this case, is error messages. The errors included are for invalid inputs, out-of-range generations, and unknown errors. The gameflow.py file contains the vast majority of the program and contains all of the interdependent flow code. Little note here, I have an academic background in information security, and so when evaluating how to best input the code, I used the concepts of least privilege and attack surface. When using pointers, all parts of the code change the original value and can affect the rest of the code, even when it doesn't need to. My thought process was, if I use what I'm going to call argument chains, only the code that needs the value will get only a copy of that value, and if anyone finds an exploit, only that copy and that process is affected, greatly reducing the risk. And finally, main.py runs the program with the start function from gameflow.py. And here we have the final result. Again, this is Thomas Joseph Herm Jr. from the Pre-Engineering program of U of L. Thank you all so much. It was a pleasure taking this course, and I hope you all have a great day.